Welcome back to another episode of Pull Hook Golf, the podcast. This is episode number 100. So I had to go back into the archives and bring back on, which was one of the most popular episodes outside of like Fat Perez, who is a social media influencer. But Shaun Clark, welcome to the show, Shaun. Welcome back, I should say.
Good evening. How's it going? Feels like it's been a century.
It really has been. It's been a long time. We did an episode on LIV Golf versus the PGA Tour. If you recall, going back, I mean, God, that was over a year ago now.
Oh, yeah.
And for the 100th episode, you know, I wanted to try to get Bobby back on here as well, but he's out in Hawaii, I believe, anyways, because I haven't heard from him. But anyways, with the 100th episode, I'm like, you know, we got to go back to the birthplace of golf. We got to go back to Scotland. We got to bring on Shaun Clark, who grew up at St. Andrews, who became a PGA professional from St. Andrews. So, I mean, you're bringing a lot of clout with you, bud.
For sure, for sure. I'm excited to be back. I really am.
It's great to have you back on. And for tonight's show, everybody, we're going to go over the Sentry recap. We're going to talk about the tournament that just wrapped up, the signature event to begin the year. And then we've got the upcoming Sony Open in Hawaii. Yes, that is what it is called. I've been so bad with tournament names, and I've only been called out like once or twice, which is great. But with the tournament names, like last week, they changed it from the Sentry Tournament of Champions because no longer was it just champions, so they changed it to the Sentry. And last episode, I was referring to it as the Sentry Tournament of Champions the entire episode. So I'm going to be better with the names here. We'll get into a bit more as we go along, but it is the Sony Open in Hawaii. Now, we also have a new segment that we've put together with Swannies' new sponsorship, which is the Swanee style segment. Can't wait to get into that. Start talking a little bit once again about the style we saw out there at the Sentry. And then the PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. I have not discussed this on the show yet, and we'll get into that. We're going to talk a little Rory McIlroy action, and obviously the last thing that I love to talk about on this show is the latest in LIV Golf news. So, Shaun, without further ado, I do have to give a quick little shout out to our sponsor, Swannies Golf, which, folks, if you want, I mean, I'm wearing Swannies right now. I wear it on every episode, but man, these hoodies, there's like a quarter zip hoodie that they've come out with. Absolutely genius. Why not take a quarter zip, add a hoodie to it, and there you go, folks. That is golf fashion, but you're also saving the planet every single time you buy a Swannies product because they recycle plastics and use it in their materials.
Love that.
So we're saving the planet one bottle at a time. And again, if you want to get 25% off, okay, we're not saying 10%, we're not saying 15%, we're not saying 20%, 25% off your entire order, which Swannies is greatly priced anyways. You can use promo code PullHookGolf25, just like in the show, PullHookGolf, and then 25, all one word, at checkout, and you will get 25% off your entire order. This stuff has been going like hotcakes. They were sold out towards the end of last year in a lot of stuff, but they've got it back in stock. I just put in a request for some more gear today, and so next show I'm going to have even more stuff on that I'll be able to go through, and you might be able to hear it in my voice, but last week, I mentioned it on the show. I was kind of having a flu game. Well, today might even be worse because I finally tested positive for the vid, Shaun.
There you go.
Have you ever had the vid? You know, I feel like I'm part of the crew now. I had never tested positive for the vid. I thought I had it multiple times.
I've had it so many times.
But this one, it put me on my ass for a full 7 days, and hopefully I don't have a coughing attack. That's happened to me multiple times today, but hopefully we can get through the entire show. I might be leaning on you a little bit as we go through, but let's start off with the Sentry recap and get into Chris Kirk. I mean, talk about a guy who gave up the booze there, Shaun.
Dude, what a final round that was. I mean, a lot happening. A lot of good golf. I watched the highlights and some of it live too. And I mean, who knows what Jordan Spieth's going to do this year after just seeing that. He's been off it for a while. He's been changing things. He's committed to changing things. And when it clicks, I just don't believe there's really anybody better when it clicks. But it just doesn't click as often as it should.
The short game is so good, right? I
So
mean,
good.
when you got a short game like that, it's really tough to be out of it, so to speak. And he hits it good enough, but he's kind of all over the place at times.
Right.
And that certainly shows.
When it's bad, it's bad.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he was playing so well coming down the stretch as well. And then all of a sudden, that 16th hole, that tee shot, he knew it was bad because he knew it was going into a bunker that was about 40 yards away from the green. However, what he didn't realize at the time, Shaun, was that it was going to get plugged underneath the lip in a fairway. Now, have you ever had a ball plug underneath the lip in a fairway bunker? I don't think I have.
Nah, just greenside for me, but
yeah,
I don't think.
And he was talking about it on air too. Well, you could hear him because he was griping to Michael Greller about the fact that this has happened multiple times to him in fairway bunkers on tour, and he was really frustrated by it. You could tell, and obviously, you get a situation like that, your tournament's probably over because you need to make birdie there
for sure
in order to really stay in the running for it. But Jordan Spieth, I mean, I look forward to a big year out of Jordan as long as this doesn't deter him, because we've seen a different Jordan Spieth ever since the Masters, going back to when he dunked it in the water on number 12 and lost the tournament.
Yep.
That it really spun his career in not a positive fashion. And I love Jordan Spieth. I'd love to see him have a huge year. Hopefully this is motivation that, hey, man, the stuff that you've been working on, the changes you've been making, you're right there. What do you think?
Yeah, obviously affects him mentally. I mean, look at Molinari as well, you know, like totally off the map after that. Totally off the map. And I get it, but I don't get it to a certain extent. It's like, how can you not keep, you know, your performance at that level? It just totally dips, you know.
Molinari was a weird one too. You're right. And that was, I remember watching the Masters with you in New York City in our storefront. And man, seeing him coming down the stretch against Tiger, we thought for sure that he was going to win that golf tournament. And then all of a sudden, you started to see it come unraveled towards the middle to end of that round, or well, really the middle of the round, and he started to fall apart.
Yeah.
And he's never been the same since.
No, he hasn't. We used to call him the parasite. He wouldn't go away.
You're right, I did. I was calling him the parasite the entire time. I apologize, Molinari. I don't think you're a parasite. I just in that at that time when we're watching it, Shaun here, what people don't know is that Shaun is a diehard Tiger Woods fan. I've never met a Tiger Woods fan more diehard. And I'm like, everybody's a Tiger Woods fan for the most part, but Shaun Clark, like, he played Nike golf clubs in professional events after Nike Golf had gone under. And I'm talking just a couple years ago. I mean, when you just recently got new golf clubs, right?
Oh yeah. I probably rescheduled 10 custom fittings because I just kept having a good round, you know, and just like, I'm not going. And yeah, I am now paradigmed and stealthed up for the next 10 years.
There you go. So Shaun is a golf professional out in Florida. He's not coming to us from Scotland today, but a huge Tiger Woods fan. And when that was all going down, I'm like, man, Molinari will not go away. He's like a parasite that's like stuck on your insides. He just won't go away. And sure enough, I mean, he went away. I mean, Tiger had the antibiotics, I guess.
Oh yeah, he did. He was chewing something.
Well, we're getting off topic already.
Oh, we are.
By the way. But going back to Jordan Spieth, do you think he's going to use this as motivation, or do you think that it's going to be another one of those that kind of messes with him mentally?
No, I think he'll use this as motivation. It's not as important, you know, as what happened at the Masters, obviously. I think he's going to go forward strong. There's a lot of good golf being played. It's hard to call. Love Åberg though, but I mean, it's
Åberg. It's Åberg.
well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
I know. We really will. Now, certainly as we go through this, one of the things that I do want to mention as well is, and this is where the naming, you guys will get what we're talking about here, Sahith Theegala, okay? So apparently, and I don't even know if I'm saying it right, it's what I've heard everybody else say, but apparently there was an issue where one of the announcers for, I believe, PGA Tour Live was botching the name. And apparently I saw some social media posts. I saw a Twitter, post go out there, and basically I believe it was the Foreplay guys, if I'm not mistaken, or Dan Rappaport, somebody from Barstool, basically like called out the PGA Tour Live announcer and said, "Look, you got to get these names right. You got to announce them or pronounce them appropriately." And I'll be the first one to admit, by the way, folks, that kind of like Pat McAfee, this is a comedic, informative show. Hence Pull Hook being the name of the show. So certainly if at times I pronounce names absolutely horribly, and I'll pronounce them over and over again. It's one of my Achilles heels, so to speak. So Sahith Theegala. And I don't know if that's correct or not. Do you know if that's correct or not? I mean, you could say anything with the Scottish accent, and all Americans are going to be like, "Oh yeah, that's correct."
It's a double E, right? It's the double E.
Is it?
They've been all over the place for years, Matt. Think about like Jimenez, right? Or Jimenez. Ooh. Or Olazabal. Like, it's just been
Olazabal.
Right. It's been inconsistent for years, so I'm not surprised they're coming out with I mean, they need to get it right. It's professional, right? It's like
yeah. If you're in the broadcast booth and you're calling a game, right? I think that is part of what you're supposed to do. Now, I've never done a broadcast. I would absolutely love to do a broadcast. I've said it multiple times in early episodes on this podcast that I would love to do a show for the PGA Tour where I'll broadcast the guys that are not going to make the cut on a Friday. And like the guys that are just absolutely shit in the bed, like shanking shots, I'm going to be like, "Oh, here comes Tommy Two Gloves." And oh shit, did you see that one? That one did not go towards the hole. That one is off to the right. You hate to see that. And like, I would just love to sit there and be able to commentate on something like that. I know Barstool did something with, the Corn Ferry Tour last year, which got mixed reviews and so forth. But I'd love to get into the broadcast booth. But I do think that is one of the things as a broadcaster that you're supposed to know and be able to pronounce every single name.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would study it if I was a broadcaster, for sure. Like, I wouldn't go in there like I do on this show.
Off the cuff.
Yeah.
No, but they need an injection of young talent, right? I mean, how cool would it be if it just like, I don't know, just say, for example, they brought me and you in, right? Shoved us in the studio for one day and just a team of guys, just a team of random guys. Everybody would love it.
I agree, which I think is a lot of what I saw a post about Pat McAfee and do we want somebody in golf? And I saw you posted some stuff about it from Golf Pros NYC and tagged us in there and was like, "Hey, Pull Hook Golf should be, the group from or the podcast that you bring into the booth or you have for as like a Pat McAfee type of experience." I appreciate that. And so with that said, you got Kevin Kisner, you got Colt Knost, which Colt does a great job on the podcast and also as a broadcaster. You could tell with Kevin Kisner and his debut that he was nervous. I mean, he even talked about it beforehand that he was talking to the producer and they were telling him that, "Hey, if you make a mistake, you get canceled. We don't. So just try to watch yourself." Like I would not watch myself on a broadcast. I might last literally a day to where they're like, "Yeah, you're not allowed to do this anymore." And I would be okay with that. But I would love to get in the booth and call a golf tournament. I think it would be an absolute blast. And I think, having yourself to where, half the words you speak better English now that you've been in America for a long period of time.
Oh, for sure. Man, yeah.
Talk about just like not being able to understand a word that you used to say. That's the Shaun Clark that I would love to have in the booth, to where you're just going on and on.
Ranting.
Yeah, and nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. But I think that would be a lot of fun. I think that would be, you would get a sense as to what the hell you're talking about just based off of what's going on the screen. But you would be able to get away with all of those mispronunciations of names. But with that sense, Sahith Theegala played fantastic. I thought he was going to fade away. He didn't. He ends up finishing second. You got Jordan Spieth finishing third. Obviously, we talked about Kirk, which he gave up the booze, man. He had a bad time before giving up the booze. And there's some people that, just shouldn't booze it up. I mean, there are those certain people that their body, their attitude, their demeanor changes when they're on the booze. And I always like to say that, people like me better when I'm on the booze than they do when I'm sober. But that being said, opposite for Kirk, and was not seeing the performance. And what a great comeback story, and what a difficult golf tournament to win. I mean, you think about it, you got to make so many goddamn birdies, because you got Sungjae, who breaks the PGA Tour record for birdies. He had 34 birdies out there, Shaun. I mean,
unbelievable.
Can you imagine 4 days having 34 birdies?
Absolutely not.
No. Makes me not want to even play professionally.
But he's always been a little bit of a birdie machine, just like Hovland. I try and stick them in my DraftKings as much as I possibly can. But Im's been a bit shaky for the last couple of years too. So I'm glad he's getting back. On the Asian culture just have that mentality, just that focus that other cultures don't, for some odd reason. They can zone in.
Agreed. Well, Sungjae, he plays literally every damn tournament, which shout out to his caddy, Willie Wilcox, because Willie's going to be, as long as he stays on the back. Sungjae's been known to switch caddies a lot. Mm-hmm. Bobby, obviously, a former co-host here, he used to always talk about the fact that when he caddied for Sungjae's a tough bag. But it seems like him and Willie Wilcox are getting along absolutely candidly, and he's took over for him towards the later part of last year, and he's got a big year ahead of him, that's for damn sure, because Sungjae's always just so good in terms of his golf swing. He hits the ball dead straight. And really, it's his putting that tends to hurt him a bit. But 34 birdies, and you end up not even finishing in the top three. Unbelievable.
I know. I mean, you can't say he did any better. He got a little pause at the top. Love that. Nice transition. Tempo's great. I love that about it. But as you say, short game's a killer.
It is. It'll bite you in the ass every chance it gets. But and that's what happened to poor Max Homa this week. God, Max Homa. Do you see his drive? 477 yards out there.
I did. Yep. It's just getting nuts, man.
I love the Tourcast, especially when they're at Kapalua, because those slopes and everything are so crazy. I remember when Ernie Els hit the first one that was like over 400 yards out there back when the equipment was shit and the ball didn't go as far. Well, we'll be revisiting that in a couple of years when we got the rollback of the golf ball. But, oh my gosh, absolutely horrible for the game of golf. I feel like, since all the amateurs and everybody who actually play outside of professionals got grouped into this goddamn thing, so everybody's going to hit it shorter. Start stacking up on your golf balls now, folks. Buy those Pro V left dashes, I believe, right now, because those are the longest ball that we're probably ever going to see moving forward, because all the factories are going to start winding it back in the years to come as we lead up to the rollback. But yeah, Pro V1X left dash.
Did you hear about that golf ball factory? It blew up. China.
I did. Yeah. Now, they did multiple brands. So I believe Callaway was one of them. TaylorMade was another. I don't even know if Shrixon was in there or not. But yeah, that's going to hurt, obviously, the bottom line and profits for these golf ball companies, unless they found a new manufacturer to go ahead and start creating more golf balls for them. But
Yeah.
This whole golf ball thing, man, it really is kind of a joke in a lot of ways. You know, when it was just the pros, I fully agree with Bobby's stance on that, around that it's not a big deal. The pros are going to figure it out. They're like, as fans, we're not going to notice a big difference. The big talk is that it's going to bring back in a lot of old, good golf courses that we don't see anymore because they're not long enough. Like, I get that argument a little bit, but at the end of the day, to bring in everybody else, and I like Titleist. I play Titleist golf balls, but man, I heard through the rumor mill on this one from multiple agents that Titleist was really the biggest proponent around the fact that, no, we're not going to make a golf ball just for pros, and you need to include all the amateurs, and that's what made the RNA and the USGA move forward on including amateur golf into there as well, which sucks. Like, and I get it from Titleist perspective, but Titleist is already making golf balls just for certain pros. So it's not like they're not doing it already.
Right. And I mean, Tiger really using Nike balls? I don't think so.
Well, we'll get to that in a few moments too, because that was humongous news as well. But let's do a quick little leaderboard rundown here of the Sentry. Oh gosh, I don't even have it pulled up at the moment. Hang on, folks. You know, every once in a while, I think I have like web pages pulled up, and then all of a sudden
you're
I
way
go
too
to take a look
right now.
And let's see. Here we go. So, oh no, I'm on the Sony Open. That's not good. That's not good at all. We got to go to the schedule.
I feel like you're close.
We're getting there. I mean, we're pretty close right now. We got to go to completed tournaments. The PGA Tour's website is not the best for navigating. Okay, here we go. Little leaderboard rundown for everybody. So obviously Chris Kirk wins it at 29 under. Yes, folks, I said that correctly. Which, remember when Cam Smith won it at 30? I think he shot 34 under. So obviously he had some eagles in there because Sungjae had 34 birdies, and that was the best ever. But you got Chris Kirk, then Sahith Theegala. Is it Theegala?
It sounded good.
Sahith. Whatever the hell
it is.
Sahith. Yeah, there we go. That's what it is. Sahith.
Sahith. Just don't even say Gala. Sahith.
Gala. No, it's a gala. You know, like the New York Gala. Yeah.
I love a gala.
There we go. Then we got Jordan Spieth in third. Ben on. He finished in fourth, which, shout out to him, man. That's a play for Ben on.
Yeah, he had a good
Sungjae, T5. Brian Harmon, T5. You got JT Poston, the guy who I said wasn't going to play very well, which was Colin Morikawa. He finished T5. Scotty Scheffler, God damn it, if he could putt again, he would be just absolutely murdering everybody. He finished at T5 as well at 25 under. And then we got a Jason Day sighting. Minus 24. We're going to be talking about him in a few moments. Xander Schauffele, T10 as well at minus 24. You got Sepp Straka, Cantlay, Hadwin, Eric Cole, Rookie of the Year, which we're going to be talking about. Tyrrell Hatton, or is it Tyrell? Who knows? You know, there's another one for
That's another one. Tyrrell, yeah.
Yeah, is it Tyrrell or Tyrell? I mean, realistically, he should go by Tyrell, I feel like. It's just Tyrell versus Tyrrell.
I wish I had that guy's number. I'd just text him right now and ask.
I mean, such a great dude. He's out there.
He is.
Did you see the round? He shot 62, 11 under on Friday. And in the post-round interview, they're trying to say how great of a round it was. And he's just like, mate, it was quite shite. My body didn't feel good. I didn't hit the ball very well. My short game wasn't very good. And then they're like, you shot 62, 11 under. And he's like, well, you know, everybody knows me for my negative personality. So why change?
It's true. It just says it how it is, man. Says it how it is. Oh, God.
And then my pick, which was Max Homa, he was T14, which he hit the ball gorgeously. And then his short game let him down the putting. I mean, you got to putt well when you're out there. Akshay Bhatia had a rough final round.
That guy's impressed me.
He's really good, man.
Yeah.
He might be the best one that's come through the Gankis school of golf there, which George Gankis, love him or hate him, you know, he's got a different way of doing things, and it's just
Bhatia or Bhatia?
Oh boy, I believe it's Akshay Bhatia, which that one I know because I used to bet quite heavily on him, and Bobby used to shit on me about it. And then you got Viktor Hovland. Is it Hovland or Hovland?
Hovland.
Viktor Hovland.
I'm set on that one.
T22 for Viktor at minus 21. And I mean, I can go on, but the numbers were crazy. But this was one of those signature events. Okay. So we'll talk about that in a second. Kevin Kisner in the booth. What did you think of Kevin Kisner?
Oh, I think the guy's hilarious, man. I know he kind of held his tongue a little bit, but he, like, when he said, what was it? He was down in the, he wasn't in the studio anymore. He was like down in another part, and he's like, God, I'm glad I'm out of there.
Well, he said the prep was horrible.
Oh,
like
yeah.
he was in there for like 4 hours with the producers and everybody doing all the prep work. And he's like, man, if this is how this is, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was funny, man. I like him a lot. I thought it was a solid performance.
Need somebody like that in there, though. That's what I'm saying. Like he
100%.
If he could just kind of come out of his box a little bit, which he will if he keeps doing it, he gets used to it. Just, I think it's a good little change.
But now he's playing this week at the Sony.
Yeah, there you go.
And you could definitely tell he was a bit nervous. Didn't want to say too much to get himself in trouble. And I'm looking forward to the future events. But let's talk about the tournament he's going to be playing in, which is the upcoming Sony Open in Hawaii. And, Shaun, we had our first Monday qualifier of the year this year because, yes, last week was a signature event. So only the top 50 played in it. Plus winners and so forth. But yeah, the Sony Open in Hawaii Monday qualifier, which, by the way, folks, for all the Pull Hook Golf podcast listeners, next week I'm going to have on Mr. Monday Q himself, which is Ryan French from Monday Q, the Twitter account and the website and everything. So I'm looking forward to picking his brain, which is why we're starting this new little segment for the Monday qualifier portion, which the 4 guys that got in. Now, are you familiar with any of these guys there, Shaun? Martin Trainer, Parker Cootie, Robert Streb, and Norman. Now, here's one that I would absolutely botch on a broadcast. Norman Young. Xiong.
Xiong. I mean,
yeah, I think it's Young.
Yeah, it's gotta be. I think your first one's spot on.
I think so too. I always confuse myself after I start saying it too many times.
Young, silent X.
Young.
Just call him Norman Young, man.
Yeah. Well, do you know who Parker Cootie is? Because him and his twin brother, so Parker and Pearson, they are absolute studs.
Yeah.
You have no idea who they are, do you?
I'm not familiar.
American golfers. If I brought up the DP World Tour, you'd know it all.
Yeah, I'd know a few more. I know a few more. Streb I've heard of. But none of the others.
Yeah, they had some terrible weather for that Monday qualifier. It absolutely poured on them, and those were the 4 that ended up making it through. So Parker Cootie has Korn Ferry Tour status this year. He's going to be playing quite a bit on the PGA Tour, but him and his brother, they are absolute studs, man. Pearson's on the PGA Tour this year. He earned his PGA Tour card from the Korn Ferry Tour last year. And now let's talk a little bit about the course because they are playing at Waialae Country Club. I just love saying Waialae. Waialae.
Yeah, Waialae.
Man.
Oh, that's Irish. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's
You're
fucking
screwing
Welsh.
the pooch already there. Now, at Waialae, it's a par 70, so definitely different than Kapalua. You're not going to have the 30 under par type of birdie fest out there. So par 70, yardage is 7,044 yards. The purse is going to be $7.9 million. You got to love these freaking purses that are just massive. I absolutely love that.
That's
and then
great. Money talks.
Here's the thing that I remember from last year with Bobby giving me a breakdown of the golf course is that it is always windy. And I looked at the weather report. I got very caddy-esque here. And the weather report said averaging daily around 10 miles per hour. Now, over the weekend, it's going to die down a little bit, but the first 2 days are going to be 15-mile-an-hour winds on Thursday and 10-mile-an-hour winds on Friday, unless I flip-flop those because of dyslexia. But that's I don't know, man. Like the wind, there's certain players that play really well in the wind, and then other guys that do not. Anybody stand out to you that you play great in the wind? I'll tell everybody, I'm not as good in the wind, but this guy, Shaun Clark,
I had some stingers on Saturday and some tornadoes. I'll tell you. Oh yeah, Panama City.
Were you in a tornado?
We had tornadoes today. Panama City got destroyed this morning.
No way. That's real?
Yeah, it's real. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't follow the news.
Yeah. We had bad tornadoes today. Well, further north.
Jesus, and you were out there playing golf in the tornadoes?
No, Saturday. It's been bad here. I need 2 of those hoodies from Swannies.
Yeah, you do. These things are nice, man. I'm so comfy right now.
But no, it's always windy, and I imagine Hawaii would play a little bit like Scotland to an extent. Obviously, more elevation changes. There's not as elevated in Scotland, but I'd love DeChambeau just to give me a description of like what the ball's going to do over one hole. You know, all those elevation changes would be interesting. That would be good. That would be interesting. But no, I love playing in the wind.
Yes, you're a wind guy, and I was kind of thinking in regards to this week from like a betting perspective around like who plays well on the wind. So we'll get some opinions around that in a moment.
Yeah.
But some of the notables that are in the field this week, and I can't believe I did not do this to myself again. I still have the tab open.
You're
but now
still
we
on the Sentry.
I seriously was, but we gotta go to, oh, Jesus Christ, this is not going well. Sorry, folks. When it comes to, because I want the field, but hang on. Here we go. Can I go official? No, rankings. Here we go. I got the rankings. So, one of the interesting things with last week being a signature event, like they kind of assume that the big guys will play in the signature events, and then they won't play the following week. And it was the PGA Tour's goal to get all the big names to play in the same golf tournaments, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of backfired because a lot of these guys are jumping straight from Kapalua and heading over to Honolulu because it's such a short flight. So with that, you've got Chris Kirk, who is going over, who just won the tournament. He played great last year. He finished third. You've got Sahith Theegala, who Sahith obviously played well in the previous tournament. Ben On, JT Poston, Brian Harmon, Terrell Hatton, you got Adam Hadwin, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Eric Cole, Akshay Bhatia, Eric Van Rooyen. So you got all these guys, and I think we might have lost Shaun here for a second. Those tornadoes might have gotten him. I'm not quite sure. But that is... And then Siwoo Kim, he won this tournament last year. So you got a bunch of guys that are coming back over from the previous week. And we officially lost Shaun at this point. Hopefully he's able to come back on and rejoin us. But as we go through the list of notables, and I just got a message from Shaun. He said he's going to be right back. The charger to his laptop came undone and battery died. So there you have that. He'll be back on in a second. Tough things for the Scottish guy here. Oh, he's coming back. Oh, he's back. Hang on, I got to get you added back. Oh, there he is. Welcome back, Shaun. You know what you needed? You know what you needed? A long card. Yeah.
You look at that.
I love that. I was just going over the notables. So
What's
the whole
that?
thing with the
I needed a long card.
signature events is that they wanted the big names to obviously playing at the same time. And then they kind of figured, okay, they're not going to play in they're not going to go week to week to week because these big guys, they want their time off and so forth. But that being said, a lot of the guys are staying over in Hawaii, and they're playing this week as well. You only got a select group that is not. So Chris Kirk, who won last week, he's playing again. He finished third last year. If you want a little bit of a hint, as far as some of the guys that we'll be going up against in terms of a little bit of a wager between the two of us. But got Sahith Theegala, he's back. Ben On, JT Post, and Brian Harmon. You know, Terrell Hatton, Adam Hadwin, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Eric Cole, Akshay Bhatia, Eric Van Rooyen. And then you got last year's winner, which was Siwoo Kim. So got all these guys that basically the majority of that field last week is playing this week. And then in addition to that, we've lost Shaun's image, but he's still there, folks. He's coming back. But then you got guys like Billy Horschel, who are going to be playing this week. Zach Johnson, Kevin Kisner, I mentioned. Matt Kuchar is playing this week. S.H. Kim, who we're big on here on the podcast because that's who Bobby Caddy's for. And really hoping to see some big things out of him this year. JJ Spawn, Kevin Streelman, who we had on the podcast in December. And Will Zalatoris. So can you believe, I mean, Big Will, he is not in that top group, but he is playing this week, and that's where I think there's guys out there that are getting screwed over, and I don't love the signature events. I got to be honest, even from a fan perspective, I don't love the signature events. What's your take on the signature events? I think we might have lost you again here. Shaun's having some technical difficulties. This is not the first time. I mean, rest in peace, Mikey Perez, who has been, he passed away last year. But, man, there were so many times early in this podcast with Mikey as a co-host to where technical issues happened all the time. Ran into some issues with Bobby over the past year or so. And now with Shaun coming on here from Scotland, just not having the technological ability at the moment. So we'll see if he can get that straightened away. And I'm back solo once again here. But that is where this week, the guys who are going to play well are going to play well in the wind. Oh, I forgot one big name. Kashmir Keith Mitchell. I love seeing that guy play. See, he's outside of the top group for these signature events, so I'm not a fan of it. Kevin Streelman certainly wasn't a fan of it because it doesn't bode well for him at all. And a lot of these guys that people want to see, they become fan favorites. You know, good old Kashmir Keith Mitchell. You want to see him. You want to see Cooch. And you want to see guys like Will Zalatoris out there. Now, Will, obviously, having dealt with a back injury and everything, that was his biggest issue. But let's get into a little bit of the betting side to this week, because last year's winner was Siwoo Kim. Okay? I don't expect Siwoo Kim to win again and go back-to-back. I mean, he's Players' Champ, bro. So, Siwoo Kim, not feeling him for this week. He played well last week. I mean, he very well could have a very good week this week, so be careful with that one. But Chris Kirk finished third there last year, and then he just won the Birdie Fest. Can he stay hot and keep that going? That's going to be the million-dollar question there with Chris Kirk. And then watch out. S.H. Kim, this is his first tournament of the year. And, well, really since the fall season of last year. He didn't play in any of the additional events beyond the fall season. And, well, trying to think, there were a couple tournaments he took off that he did not end up playing for that. So with that said, he finished T12 last year here. Bobby knows this course really, really well, and I believe Bobby's going to be on his bag for this tournament. I haven't heard otherwise, so I'm expecting Bobby to be out there, and I think with that duo, that S.H. Kim and Bobby are going to have a pretty good week. But as far as who I've got this week, there's two names that I really feel like are going to get off to a good start. And one of them had a really good start last year and kind of faded away over the weekend. And that's JJ Spawn. He tends to play well in windy conditions. I like JJ Spawn out there. He likes the golf course. He's played well out there multiple years. And then a guy that was sneaky good last week and started to pick up his game was Brian Harmon. And so Brian Harmon, I look for him to have a very big week, especially with the windy conditions on Thursday and Friday. So if Brian Harmon gets off to a quick start, Brian Harmon's going to have a great week. And that's my two guys for this week that I really like, that I'm going to be putting into top 10 bets. I'm probably going to throw a couple in there around S.H. Kim, Chris Kirk. Siwoo, once again, I would love to say Siwoo Kim is going to be a top 10 guy as well this week, but we shall see. I don't know. I wasn't feeling him that much last week. He still played well, and nothing against Siwoo, but that's where we're at. We'll see if Shaun comes back on, where he's at with betting, with who he likes in the windy conditions out there at Sony. The Sony, oh God, I'm blanking on. It's the Sony Open in Hawaii. I want to make sure I get that correct for everybody. The Sony Open in Hawaii. Now, Swanee style segment. And Shaun, we got to get Shaun back on here. I know he's probably charging and trying to get this set back up as well. But the Swanee style segment, this is taking over, because Swanee style, it's so good. And it's so comfy. I absolutely love it. And I can't wait for Shaun to get back on here as well, because this Swanee style segment, we got to talk about Jason Day's pants that took over the internet from Melbourne. I believe it's Melbourne, but we will see that in particular, because he had those big blue pants on. And the problem with those blue pants, Melbourne, I love the stuff you guys come out with, but for Shaun to get back on here as well, because this Swanee style segment, we got to talk about Jason Day's pants that took over the that in particular, because he had those big blue pants on. And the problem with those, the stuff you guys come out with, but here we go. Shaun back on here as well, because this Swanee style segment that took over the, here we go. Shaun's back with us. Shaun's back with us on his phone.
Yeah.
Turn it sideways. I think it'll work sideways.
The charger is broken.
Oh, there we go. We got full screen for Shaun here. He no longer has his virtual screen going.
I'm back, though. That's the most important.
You are back, which is huge, because this Swanee style segment is massive. And what a lot of people don't know about you from our first encounter of having you on the Pull Hook Golf podcast is not only that you're Scottish, but that in New York City, you also used to be in high-end fashion. men's bespoke suits. And so you're a fashion guy. What did you think of Jason Day's pants that he wore? They were big blue pants that had these little like graphics all over them. Did you happen to see those? It took over the internet.
I mean, I think you've got to go all out, you know. It takes a little bit of courage, and just obviously being in New York City, you can be whoever you want to be, right? So that helps with things rather than being in a little American town somewhere in some other state, right? And then if you go out in a suit, you'll probably get shot or something like that, right? But I don't mind someone kind of stepping outside their comfort zone, like obviously, you know. And I mean, being in Florida now, you know, I hardly wear a suit or a jacket anymore. So it just depends where you are. But no, I love that Day's gone kind of out of his shell a little bit.
I do too. The one thing that I wish those pants were, though, which I've told you for years, I want to bring back pleats, man. We need pleated pants. We need that comfy area around the groin to where it's breathing. You got some room in there. You don't have these tight pants that are just killing a sausage.
Yeah,
so
it might come back.
I would love to see the pleats. And Melbourne is like right there. Like if they just added a couple pleats to those pants, I think they would have been sick.
Oh,
I wasn't a huge fan of them myself. I like a lot of stuff that they come out with and have. And I think throughout the year, you're going to see that with Jason Day and with the tournaments that he plays in. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that one. What about,
to circle back to when I cut off there, back to your,
the betting. Who do you like this week in the wind?
Harmon, I think, Open champion, right?
God damn you. That was one of mine. So
is that what you said?
I like JJ Spawn and Brian Harmon. We're not going to throw up a wager because we got the same guy. Brian Harmon is my number one for this week. I think Brian Harmon is going to go out there and win this golf tournament. I really do.
Åberg playing?
Åberg.
If he's playing, I'll take him. I'll do $20
Is he playing?
with you.
Hang on. Let's see.
I don't know. I think so. He must be playing.
He
while you
he's
check
been playing
if he's playing or not, I think golf's going to become a bit like tennis now, whereas like, you know, if you watch tennis, everyone just watches the majors and that's it. Right? And I feel like it's just going to become a little bit like that.
We're definitely heading in that direction, that's for sure. I don't think Åberg's playing.
Oh. He did play this. Played last week.
Oh, wait a second. He is playing. Never mind. I just found him. I had to do the find feature and type his name in there. Yeah, he's playing. So he's in there. So you like Ludvig. I mean, the one thing, and I was talking about this last week on the show, is that I don't love the expectations being put on this poor kid because they're so high right now about this kid that he's going to win majors this year. I'm just like, whoa. Pump the brakes just a touch. Like, let's not kill this kid's confidence if all of a sudden he doesn't start like matching up to some of these wild expectations. I mean, yeah, he had an awesome start to his career coming out of PGA Tour U, which is the university, which basically means that as a college player, you come directly onto the PGA Tour if you're one of the top players. And he did, and he came out, and he won on the DP World Tour, plays in the Ryder Cup, then wins on the PGA Tour. The kid's got everything going for him, so hopefully he is able to, play well. But, yeah, all right. So if you want to throw in a little $5 wager, or actually, hang on. I'm going to go back to what we used to do. 1,000 pennies.
1,000 pennies.
Yeah. It's a lot.
I'm
still owed by Bobby.
Okay.
1,000 pennies? Okay. 1,000 pennies. I got Brian Harmon. You got Ludvig.
Okay.
Done. Well done. Okay. That's fantastic. There was one other thing
I can't wait for my Zelle.
Oh, the other question that I forgot to ask you when we were talking about the the Sentry, and I'm sorry to go back, everybody, but we're going back for a second. When we were talking about the Sentry, do you like the golf tournaments to where they have to, like, it's just a birdie fest, to where par is basically a bogey?
Not particularly. Not particularly. I like it when they struggle. I like it when it's made tough for them. But I know that it's not like viewing pleasure for us, but they're the best in the world, and like they should be challenged. Like loving US Open, PGA, even the Open, depending on which course it is, can be kind of tough that way as well if the wind does blow. But yeah, I like to see them kind of using their imagination, getting in tough spots, and then making shots from there.
I have to agree. I don't mind having a tournament here and there, but yeah, for the most part, I want to see good golf taking place on difficult courses, and that is something that a lot of the social media world was having a ball with from this golf tournament because of how many birdies it takes to actually win. You kind of take out some of the great ball strikers too, because they're not necessarily the best putters in the world, hence Scotty Scheffler. But you know what? We don't need to see Scotty Scheffler win every single golf tournament. And that's where I think I still like Kapalua. I still think that playing the Plantation course and going that low is just a cool thing to get the year started. But going back to the Swanee stuff. Oh, yeah. The watching's great. Going back to the Swanee style segment, okay? Our next thing here, which I have a graphic for, okay? And I'm going to pull that up on the screen. Hopefully you can see it. Hopefully everybody can see this, okay? On the left, you have a Waffle House hat. And on the right, you have, I had to throw in Xander because Xander last week, everybody was talking about his style changing, and he was part of this segment with going from Adidas to Descente, and apparently he's going to be wearing not the Adidas hat, but he's wearing a Chrome Tour hat, which a lot of the Callaway guys were wearing, and I had to do a double take to where I'm like. And by the way, folks, if you're listening to the podcast, I will put this on social media on our story for you to see as well. But the hat that Xander Schauffele was wearing, all of a sudden I see it. And on TV, it was like at a distance. And of course, he just changed his apparel for his sponsors, right? Which was Adidas. Now he's with Descente. And I'm like, oh my God. Does he have a new sponsor in Waffle House? Because that's what that hat looked like to me.
It did look like it right away.
I don't know how many other people saw this and was like, oh my God, there's Waffle House. But then I saw Akshay Bhatia with the hat on and a couple other guys. And then I did a closer look and I had to pause it. And I'm like, oh, okay, it says Chrome Tour. But they made it in the block letters and it looks... I mean, how close is that? I mean, look at that graphic. Waffle House and Chrome Tour. That's pretty close, right? I'm not crazy.
That's pretty close. You're not crazy.
Okay. I appreciate that.
I'm going to change my hat right now to this one. I think, let's change my hat.
Since you're on the move. Since you're on the phone
I'm
now.
on the move.
Oh, yeah. See, there we go.
There you go.
One of the pull hook hats. Love that. Absolutely love that.
Old school boy.
And then... the next part of this style segment, which hits close to home for you. And I was sad. I was actually saddened by this, that Tiger Woods and Nike have parted ways after 27 beautiful years.
Yeah. Crazy.
What are your thoughts?
It was going to happen eventually.
You think so? I mean, Michael Jordan never changed.
Well, it's true. Yeah. I don't know, just the way you mentioned about him starting his own thing, his own line, but
yeah, I think he is starting his own clothing line, kind of like what Tom Brady has done.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it was always in the lineup. I mean, again, money talks, so they're going to save a lot of money by this split up for sure. But yeah, I don't know where he'll go or what he'll do
Were
now.
you
But I mean, he's not going to play that much, so
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's going to
maybe
try
not fussed.
He's going to try to play once a month, is what he has said. And he said
Same as us.
He'll see. Yeah, exactly. He'll see us in LA. So he'll be in LA for the tournament there coming up at, not coming up, but at Riv. So he'll be playing there. Now, Tiger, with the TW logo, were you a big, like, did you buy gear from Nike just because it had TW on there? Because you're a diehard Tiger Woods fan. And I think this goes to what Nike's issue was.
Yeah, I didn't like the embroidered TW. I liked it as a little metal plaque on the sleeve.
Okay.
So I didn't like the big T-dubs like at the front. And
what about on the neck?
I bought those too. Yeah.
So you were kind of hit or miss based off of what type of style it was. Okay, I get that, and it does go to say what is happening to Nike's golf division. But I don't know if their apparel has ever been the top of the top in golf. Like, I don't think Tiger Woods, from an apparel standpoint, or even with some of the shoes, and I could be totally off base here, that really moved the needle, because you had FootJoys, you've had all different types of golf shoes in the golf industry. It wasn't like you just bought Tiger Woods golf shoes or golf shirts. Like, you're a fashion guy, so you have a bunch of different stuff, and that's where I don't know if he really moved the needle from an apparel standpoint. And I didn't love his golf shoes. People might get mad at me, but I didn't. And I much prefer the Air Jordan 1s.
I did have those black Nike shoes way back when he had them, the kind of black trousers, red shirt, that kind of look. I had a few red shirts, but shoes wise, I agree with you. It's like, everyone tries shoes. Unless you specialize in shoes, it's hard to. I mean, I guess Nike do though. I mean, in other shoes, types, but I agree. They never quite kind of kicked it off with the golf stuff.
They really didn't. I mean, early on, like when I was really young, I wanted the latest like Tiger Woods shoe and stuff like that. But throughout the years, it just doesn't have that kind of power to it. And again, I think Nike Golf, there's still plenty of people that are sponsored by Nike, including Nelly Korda on the female side. You still got Fleetwood, who's sponsored by them. So you got
Casey, right?
you got a bunch of people that are still sponsored. Somebody, and I don't know if they're trying to be comedic or not on Twitter, because there's some crazy people on Twitter. I don't know if you've dealt a whole lot with Twitter, but I have realized that Twitter is a different beast, man. It's not Instagram, it's not TikTok, it's not YouTube. Like there's some weird people on Twitter, and I love it. Like I'm getting into it now, and I'm starting to see why people either love or hate Twitter. And so there's people on there. This guy, he threw in there. He goes, "Don't forget about Matthew Wolff. He's no longer with Nike." And I didn't know where to take a follow-up comment to that. Like, talk about a mic drop, though. That guy just mic dropped that entire thing when I posted about Tiger and Nike parting ways. I'm just like, holy shit. I don't know where to take this now.
Yeah, that and X and TikTok I've not really gotten fully kind of into yet, but the old school part of me is still, grinding away. But yeah, I definitely have. I mean, Twitter, it's great though. I mean, you really see some stuff on there about just everything that's going on in the world. I mean, it's opinions just clashing against each other. I mean, it's great to just scroll and read all that stuff.
Well, the question I got for you is, are you devastated by not only Tiger Woods parting ways, but also Matthew Wolff?
Devastated about Wolff
can't contain myself.
Oh God. Yeah.
No, not so much. I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do next. Maybe because I sold my clubs, he thought he would just part ways.
Oh, Tiger. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
I'm
Nikes are
curious
gone.
too. I'm wondering, Tiger, Swannies, great brand.
Swannies, hey, you never know.
Swannies.
You never know.
The other thing is, who owns that TW logo? Because it was created by Nike, I believe. So does
That's a good
Nike
question.
own that, or does Tiger
Right.
own that? I
Right.
don't know. I would be really curious to hear who owns that and if
Who has
Tiger's
the
taking it
patent.
with him. Yeah,
Yeah.
and there might have been like an agreement at the end that Tiger, however much money, pays them for that logo. Who knows? All right.
I'm pretty sure there is.
That's our Swanee style segment. I love this new segment, though. I love being able just to talk some shit on style. And, yeah.
I'm going to order
it's
some
fun.
stuff. I haven't yet. I have to
Oh,
apologize.
Sean, you got to get on
I'm
there.
ordering it.
I know. You're
right
in
now.
Florida. You don't see me that often, and I don't see you that often, but you got to get on the Swannies game. The Swannies gear is nice.
Guys, I sent Matt a picture. I was in a bar somewhere. Where was I? In
Where
Key
were
West,
you?
maybe?
I think so, yeah.
Key West for the weekend. Saw the Swannies logo, guy wearing the hat backwards, sent a picture to him. And I never went up to the guy. I wish I did now, but I'm starting to see it.
Now, the $1 million question is, did you know of Swannies before the show and with the Swannies sponsor? I know. I talk to everybody around me. My entire circle of people have no idea. And a lot of obviously through the podcast, Swannies is killing it with the promo code from us and being a sponsor of the show, because everybody I talked to, nobody knew of them before them becoming a sponsor of the show. And now I'm seeing it on my buddies out here that I play golf with. I'm seeing it all over the place. Even golf shops here in Arizona are putting them in more and more and more. I saw them up at Desert Mountain. So pretty cool to see, which Desert Mountain I used to work at Desert Mountain. So it's cool to see that everybody's kind of bringing them in. And I can tell you that they were not at Desert Mountain when I was working up there as a pro. But that's a different story. Now, let's get into the PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. And granted, I was bedridden for the majority from the last episode up until this episode with COVID. So I don't know if I was just out of it and didn't see the announcement. Did you see the announcement, or was it kind of made quietly of the PGA Tour Rookie of the Year?
I didn't really see much about it. You guys know who my favorite player is now, right? You already know my thoughts and feelings. I didn't really see it as you said, very quietly. Very quietly.
Yeah, and guess who
Maybe
won? It was not. And I did a survey with one of the podcast episodes when I talked about Rookie of the Year, and I put up Eric Cole or Ludvig. Which one do you think should win the Rookie of the Year? And it was unanimous that Ludvig should win it. And yet Eric Cole comes away with it. And I don't know if there's some politics there or not, but one, they did not. And I don't know how the voting goes either. So I'll do a little bit of research before I talk about this in future episodes, folks. But very surprised by this. But the one interesting thing, and I only saw one post by the PGA Tour. So if it was politics and they're like, oh, let's market the crap out of this. His mother, Eric Cole's mother, also won Rookie of the Year on the LPGA Tour when she was a rookie. So there's that element to it.
No, that's a interesting one.
Cat's got your tongue there, bud.
I know. That's an interesting one.
It's like, where do you go from that? But
yeah,
that's what makes this show
that has
special.
anything to do with it? I don't
know. I don't know, because I just don't know how.
There can be.
Eric Cole did not win last year, if I'm correct. I'm almost positive he did not win. He had so many. Hang on. Oh,
how does that make sense? How does that make sense to anybody? You know.
Hang on. Let's see. Eric Cole. I knew it was going to happen eventually, and it's finally here. I was able to get away from it for so long.
He did well.
Man.
Did real good.
Yeah, 0 career wins. So he did not win a golf tournament. And we all know that Ludvig won the RSM. Now, I do wonder if the RSM counted. It had to. It was at the end of 2023. It was the last 2023 tournament before it turned into the fall series, which counts towards 2024.
Did Eric Cole? Eric Cole didn't play in the Ryder Cup either, did he?
No, which I don't think that counts towards like
No,
what they
I know,
consider. But yeah, kind of BS, huh?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things happening in the world.
Yeah, like me not being able to control this cough at this point. This could be a rough go for the rest of the way. But anyways, folks, Rookie of the Year, PGA Tour 2023. That is Eric Cole, in case you were wondering and in case you missed it.
Eric Cole.
Congratulations, Eric, which he's a great player. He played great at the Sentry. I'm curious to see how he plays at this Sony. God damn. This
You're on your way out.
this is going to get worse because I'm almost out of water too. But another one here that I would just like to give a little shout out to is Jersey Jerry, which got a hole-in-one. He was on a he's one of the Barstool characters. He grew up, was buddies with Bob Does Sports, or Rob, who's Bob. So that being said, Jersey Jerry goes on a live stream, and it took over the golf world this week on social media. He put himself on hole number 7 of Pebble Beach and had about, I think the final yardage was like in the 70-yard range.
Mm-hmm.
Goes and on day 2, I believe, knocks in a simulator hole-in-one. So,
boom.
And everybody went wild. I mean, you got celebrities that were chiming in on it. You got Max Homa talking about it. You've got Brooks Koepka talking about it. So kudos to you, Jersey Jerry, because a lot of people are shitting on it, saying, it's a simulator. Hole-in-one doesn't count. Now, I will say this. If you set it up like he did to where you do like in-round practice, you just keep hitting the shot over and over and over and over and over again, does it really count as a hole-in-one? What do you think? Putting you on the spot. It was exciting.
Can't count it.
Yeah, I mean, he went through a plethora of emotions throughout. And he was doing it straight through. He was. I think he hit 2,000 shots or something along those lines. I don't know the exact number, which I never do, anyways. But that being said, Jersey Jerry, that's still a hole-in-one, bud, and that's impressive.
But it doesn't count. But it's still a hole-in-one.
No, if somebody asks you, have you ever had a hole-in-one, you got to give the caveat of not really. But I did live stream. I don't think he's going to have that problem because I think everybody that pays attention to social media knew about it and knows that he's made a simulator hole-in-one. Now, what I will say is that for all those people out there that are like, should a simulator hole-in-one count? I'm on the side of saying, yeah, it should if you're playing a round of golf on a golf simulator, because I'll tell you firsthand that when I would run events with a golf simulator, with a full swing golf simulator, we had an insurance company that would back up to $1 million, just like they would outside, for a hole-in-one in the golf simulator, because it was the same odds. Now, not every golf simulator is built the same, but the top-of-the-line ones, like a Golf Zone, which is what they had for Jersey Jerry, or a full swing golf, or Foresight, or TrackMan, it's about the same odds. So I would say if you're in a round of golf on a golf simulator, I would certainly say it if it's not your first one, because you don't want to be like, yeah, I had a hole-in-one. And they're like, oh, really? Where'd you have a hole-in-one? On a golf simulator. not the greatest of looks there.
Right. It doesn't ring.
Now, we train in a golf simulator in New York City. So, Shaun, have you ever had a golf simulator hole-in-one?
I haven't. I've had 2 real ones. And my first one was, I was 14 years old. A club near St Andrews called St Michael's Golf Club, which was in my hometown, called Lookers.
A lot of Catholics out there in Scotland.
Oh, sheesh. No idea. A lot of Neds.
A lot of Saints. St. Michael Golf Course, St. Andrews.
Yeah, a lot of Saints. Yeah, and it was, what was it? It was kind of tee box, big dip, and then up to the green, and you couldn't really see. I didn't see it go in because it was above, but big dip, and then you walked. That was a hard walk up that hill, and just with a bag on your back, no golf carts.
Good old Dan. How's Dan?
About that, Matt, is I was 14. So what does that mean? Then I couldn't buy any drinks.
Oh, that's not good.
Great result for me on that one.
Yeah, and, not for anybody who played with you. Not Dan.
No.
Poor Dan got screwed over on that one.
God.
So that was hole-in-one number 1. What was hole-in-one number 2?
Hole-in-one number 2 is at the club I'm at now, Club Pelican Bay in Naples.
So this was recent.
Yep. Did I tell you about this?
I believe you did, but I completely forgot until I just asked you.
It was last year. Man, it must have been last April or May. But we have 3 courses: Club, Pelican, and Bay. All 9 holes, so 27 holes. So I was on Bay 4, par 3. There's water all along the right side, and it kind of curves. So depending on where the pin is, you have to carry it different distances. But I think it was 167 left to right, Harton, and there's a kind of big slope on the left, and I always aim left edge of the green, trying to little fade it in, but it hit the left and it stuck on the fringe, and it just started trickling down, and it went in, and my buddy Jack Bame almost knocked me over. Friggin' ran to me, gave me a big chest pump, just like Jordan Spieth did when he held that bunker shot with his caddy.
Hell yeah, John Deere.
And we
yeah.
And I had to explain to the fiance what it means when you have a hole-in-one and what you do.
Yeah, so, you got to go pound some booze. So you at least got redemption with that one. You pounded some booze.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was fun. We had a good time, and bunch of caddies, bunch of booze. Yeah, we had a good time. It was fun. Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
I'm glad. I've been waiting 17 years for that, so hopefully I don't wait that long for number 3.
I mean, my most recent one, which is also controversial, because I do have a hole-in-one on a golf simulator, and then I do have a hole-in-one on a par 3 course, and then I have 2 other ones, and I guess you could say full golf courses, but it's been a while. But last year I had one on a par 3 course, and that's another one to where people are like, oh, that doesn't count. I've talked to other people that are like, dude, that absolutely counts. Now, you go to the AZ Skins game, which is at Mountain Shadows, which is a par 3 course, and all those guys say the same thing. They're like, it's a hole-in-one, man. It's a hole-in-one. So I don't really know if I have 4 or 2. It just depends on how you look at it, but I do have the other one, which is the Double Eagle, and that was in a Butch Harmon Butch Harmon Vegas Tour event, and I still, that's the one that stays in my mind the most beyond the hole-in-one. So Jersey Jerry, once again, shout out to you, buddy. Congrats on your hole-in-one. And
I got an albatross too. I got one, a Double Eagle. Man, it was
par 4, par 5.
Par 5, second shot at Lakeside in LA.
Oh, yeah. How do I not know about this one?
Oh, man, Lakeside. Me and you played there a couple of times.
Love Lakeside. Justin Timberlake's a member out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of it. Sarah Hyland, Andy Garcia. Joe Pesci.
Oh yeah,
I saw Joe in the pro shop.
And Lakeside's fun.
Oh, it's great fun. Small greens, real small, real target. You gotta be on there with your irons for sure.
You do.
All right, I love it.
We got another one here, which is what the hell is going on with Rory McIlroy? Are you feeling a shift in momentum from Rory being the guy who backed PGA Tour? I mean, talk about a guy who just absolutely got paid nothing in terms of what he did for the tour. And now he went on, and you know these football guys better than I do, that he was on a podcast with or a show, and he backtracked his feelings. Now, his original statement was last year that he'd retire before he'd ever consider playing on LIV Golf. Now he says he'd entertain it if it becomes a little bit more like cricket, the way that's set up, and he all of a sudden backtrack on his feelings after Jon Rahm went about, okay, and I think Rory saw the money too, $600 million to go, and he's like, probably should shut my mouth at this point. And granted, he's off the PGA Tour player policy board, so he's no longer with interactions with that, which he had an entire issue with Cantlay, and feels like, you know, he feels betrayed, I feel like, in a lot of ways. So I don't blame him for that. But what's your take on Rory McIlroy kind of flip-flopping, so to speak?
I'm not sure what to think about Rory anymore, man. It's, you know, like, you don't just all of a sudden change your mind, you know, and just say a lot of shite, you know. It's just like,
I feel like he got taken advantage of, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was trying to. I mean, I get it at the start, but you can't all of a sudden say, "Oh, you know, this is my dream image," and this and that. You know, like, I just don't. There's something going on behind closed doors, and we don't know about to change that for sure. And the fact that he's falling for it, I've not heard what Tiger's been saying about all this, but
Tiger's been quiet,
reserved about the whole thing, because them two were like, you know, at the start getting with each other, chatting about it. Remember?
Yeah.
And he's been quite reserved and not really saying much about it now. So.
And then Rory skipped the first event, by the way. He skipped that for an event in Dubai, which, granted, he's had close ties with the sponsors and everybody for the tournament in Dubai, but it's not looking great for him staying on the PGA Tour. I mean, get that man an offer, Greg Norman. Like, start reaching out to Rory.
Yeah, I think that might happen sooner rather than later. You know, I don't have any inside intel from it, but we're not stupid, right? I mean, these things come out. I mean, they play it on us to the public like we are, and everyone knows what's going on, man. It's like,
it's a lot of money. I mean,
a lot of money.
You think Jon Rahm got $600 million, and
I mean, when is enough? I mean, like, he probably could have got more.
We're going to parlay this, by the way, right into our last segment, which is the latest LIV Golf news, because Phil Mickelson came out at Rory's defense and actually talked about that, hey, guys, because everybody started shitting on Rory, all the LIV Golf fans. And Phil did a very smart thing and told him, hey, let's not kick this man while he's down because of him changing his opinion of LIV Golf in a positive fashion. Like, Phil, there's times to where Phil just gets it, and this was one of them, because in Phil's mind, I bet you he's thinking, if we get Rory McIlroy, this is game fucking over. Like,
100%.
Everybody is going to all of a sudden want a contract with LIV, and all of a sudden you have that great movement over to, I don't think Jon Rahm did it, but I think Jon Rahm was the pawn that moved over that got Rory to turn his back against the PGA Tour. What do you think?
I agree 100%. Harold Varner going to prison. They got an opening, so.
Did he go to prison? I mean, he got a DUI. I don't know if he went to prison.
I don't know if he did. I'm just making it up. But
and then there's some sad news coming out of the Pat Perez camp. Ashley Perez has filed for divorce from Pat Perez. That broke today. And
oh, really?
I'll tell you, it's been a rough year for Pat Perez.
He's got to be.
With his brother Mikey, rest in peace, Mikey, who was an original co-host of this Pull Hook Golf podcast with me. I miss Mikey terribly, but he passed away last year. And then all of a sudden, Ashley just says, peace, I'm going to get my 50% of that LIV Golf money, and I am out of here. Truth be told, if you know their relationship, and granted, I've heard enough from enough people that are super close to them that this is potentially the best thing that could have happened to Pat. However, I think Pat's going to be pretty devastated by this, and it's unfortunate, and I feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, when that happens to a family member, I mean, like, he's got to be going through some stuff, and it's hard you can go off the deep end quick, right? It's just like, you just got to keep positive. The river only flows one way. Don't look backwards.
That's right. And I do wonder how his year is going to be on LIV Golf. And I'll tell you, as much as, we have talked about him on this podcast and his issues with Bobby and all that stuff between Bobby and Pat, and I kind of took a side of Bobby because Bobby was a co-host here with me. And so that being said, and then I got a message from good old Pat Perez that was not the kindest. And so for that, I'm interested to see how he plays this year, because you either can play really well because you have all that stuff going on off the golf course, that golf becomes your main focus. Whereas otherwise it could really tear you apart. And I'm hoping that he plays well. I really do. I only wish good things for him in this new kind of stage of his life. And he's been through a lot, man. I can't imagine losing a brother. I lost a great friend with Mikey passing, and now to go through that situation. But again, hopefully it is for the best for Pat Perez. And then last thing is, did you catch any of Greg Norman's interview? As much as I like LIV Golf, there's some things that they do that I just fucking laugh at. And this is one of them. They've got their little internal podcast just for LIV Golf. And by the way, they have told caddies that they're not allowed on this show. They have told players. So I'm still trying to get my first LIV golfer. 2024 is going to be the year. I'm going to get somebody from LIV Golf to be on this podcast. It's going to happen. Mark my words. That is my goal for this year, and to mend a little bit of what they think. But Greg Norman was on their little internal podcast show that they do. And he was talking about the fact that, outside of some of the propaganda that he just spews, that this is a great business model. I'm like, yeah, if you have somebody with endless funds that can just keep giving you cash, yeah, it's a great business model. Business. I mean, shit.
Yeah, it's going to work.
I could live stream me taking dumps for 3 years as long as they're going to give me $600 million, or the billions that they've already put into this damn thing. And then their revenue numbers come out and have been leaked, and they're under $100 million of revenue last year, which, you know how many billions of dollars that they spent putting together all those contracts, and then on top of that, the tournaments, because those aren't cheap to put together all the stands and everything. They came out with a huge red number, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. But the one thing he did say is that LIV Golf and the PGA Tour could have coexisted from the beginning. That's the one part that I'm like, he's not wrong with that, and I've kind of said that from the get-go. I mean, what are your thoughts on Greg Norman and his little interview there?
and a little bit more open to the whole situation. Maybe sat down and talked about it instead of being like, oh, we're doing this and you're doing that. And, you know, it's like me and you saying like, all right, like in a business together. We're not going to, you know, we both just do our own thing. Kind of, you know, like that kind of standpoint. But yeah, I just think they could have been a little bit more, you know, I was very protective from PGA Tour to on him. But again, Norman was the main focus on that because not a lot of people like him. So the likability of him affected that, I would say, prevented that from happening.
It definitely did. He does not have the best reputation with PGA Tour brass, with a lot of guys on the tour don't like him.
Yeah.
And so that certainly did not bode well for his dealings with the PGA Tour. And I don't know if he went about it the best way possible, where, you know, he kind of was throwing it at the PGA Tour before this all came about. I mean, some of the emails back and forth. The other interesting thing is that he's going to stay on for the duration, because now that the PIF dealings, like PIF's going to basically be a minority investor, it's looking like, into the PGA Tour. They're not going to merge everything together. PGA Tour is not going to take control of LIV Golf or anything along those lines. And one of the first things Yasir did when the PGA Tour sent over that Greg Norman has to be gone in those dealings is that he said absolutely not. And I saw a really smart comment, which goes to the business side, and that is that Yasir is a chairman of the board on multiple companies. And as such, if you do a merger or acquisition of something, and you're CEO for no reason whatsoever other than the other company doesn't want them, that is a bad look for all those other businesses. And that's where Greg Norman, you got to give the guy credit. He has, he's delusional to a degree, and sometimes you have to be delusional, but that's the one thing that I would love to see changed, is not Greg Norman, is the authenticity out of the LIV Golf side and the transparency. Be transparent about all of this and allow people in. Don't be so protective of LIV Golf that it's like, we're just going to make everything sound like it is perfect, because it's far from perfect. And the only way they're going to get better is if they start to acknowledge, okay, it's not perfect and we need to get better.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
Hey, there you go. And then we're also on an official countdown to the first LIV Golf event, which is in 24 days. By the podcast release tomorrow morning, it's going to be 23 days. And Jon Rahm still doesn't have a team.
Have you ever watched a LIV Golf event?
Oh, yeah. Dude, I watch them all the time. I know.
I
will tell you right now that my circle of people, there's not a lot of people that watch LIV Golf. There's people that say that they like it. Yeah. CW, bro. Watch yourself some Dawson Creek reruns and One Tree Hill, which is going to be on each side of the LIV Golf event. But they have an app. Okay. The app is what I watch it on, because the app's free. You can watch it on there, and it's on the iPhone, and it's also on Apple TV. So I've got it loaded up on both, and I watch them. But even my friends who are like, oh, LIV Golf's great, love LIV Golf. I'm like, have you guys watched events? They're like, no, not really. I'm like, what the? Like, are you serious?
Come on.
But I haven't really found, outside of like the Twitter bots and so forth, of people that are like diehard LIV Golf fans. But that's surprising for you, because as a Scottish guy, I did notice that some of the authentic fans of LIV Golf are international. So they're either like in Australia. I know the Australian guys love it because of Adelaide, which I don't blame them whatsoever. That event was absolute fire last year. Yeah. But everybody else is just like, they kind of watch clips on social media.
Yeah,
which
that's. I've only seen a couple of clips. Maybe you should come over here. We'll go to Doral when it's here.
that could, you know what? When is the Doral event? Do you know? Let me take a look.
No idea.
Let me go ahead and pull this up once again. Not prepared at all, which is per usual. Here we go. Schedule, livegolf.com. They're starting off in Mayakoba, which is a great event. I love
Hey,
Mayakoba.
you got that quicker than the PGA Tour website.
You know what? I will.
The navigation.
I'm gonna tell you a secret. As much as I hate to say this, LIV Golf's website, and it at times their website can be like it's not the best, but it's better than the PGA Tour's website.
Ooh, quote.
Those are fighting words right there. Hang on a second.
They
Which
are.
event are we looking at? Doral?
I have no idea, man.
Oh,
the
no.
Blue Monster.
You know,
Doral.
yeah, but you know what's crazy? They don't have it yet. So
they don't. They had it
no.
last year.
And this was the thing with why they were not releasing their schedule, and then Brooks Koepka started trolling them on social media. Oh wow. I mean, he went ham over New Year's. But anyways, they don't have a complete schedule yet. Like they have events to where like the Saudi Arabia event in March is to be announced for the golf course. You've got LIV Golf USA in April from April 5th to the 7th, which is to be announced. And then you've got
That's probably it.
No, because they're probably going to have, well, they also do not have the team championship or the final event listed as of yet. So
Okay.
we don't know when those are going to be. And yeah, that's pretty much the schedule for the time being. It's not a complete schedule, but guess what? They are going to be once again on the CW. So love that love that for the Dawson Creek reruns.
I'll maybe make a little bit of an effort.
Watch a little bit of LIV Golf this year. I'm telling you what. I think more people are going to watch because of Jon Rahm. And because Jon Rahm is on there. He's not a needle mover per se,
right?
But he is somebody that people will go and they'll watch just because he's playing and they want to see if he's going to win all of the golf tournaments. And that's what I'm going to be curious with. I mean, he was playing in some of I knew, which I had already heard from some of the agents out here from some people out here, I should say. I don't want to give away too much detail as to how I come across this info, but there were some people out here that knew of Jon Rahm leaving before, like 2 weeks prior to the announcement. So I knew heading into that announcement that he was leaving. And I kind of alluded to it on the podcast and everything, but he was playing in the par 3 skins games. And his game was not in shape. Like he wasn't winning. He wasn't even close to winning and wasn't making a ton of birdies out there. And so you could tell he was just kind of going out having fun. Like just kind of like one of the boys like, hey, let's have some beers and let's just chill. So you knew that he wasn't prepping for the PGA Tour season. So I'm curious to see what type of game Jon Rahm comes in with at the start of this year, because there's some guys, I've talked about it before, where there's some guys that are taking it serious this year. Dean Burmester winning twice. You have Louis Oosthuizen winning twice on the DP World Tour. You got Joaquin Niemann winning on the DP World Tour. You've got guys competing like Mark Leishman was playing in a lot of the events. Cam Smith was playing in the Australian events, which he wasn't doing previously. So, I mean, these guys are taking it serious, even though they're making these big bucks. And it was only a matter of time until they did. But that's where we are. I mean, any final thoughts about LIV Golf other than you're going to watch a couple events this year?
I'm gonna make an effort to watch. I think Rahm will make me watch. And I agree with you. We'll make a lot of other people watch in that aspect. And if Rory goes, then I mean that'll change everything.
Well, Jon Rahm still doesn't have a team.
Can't wait to see the figure.
Dude, if they should honestly, if they want to put a fork in the PGA Tour, and this is a great way to end this episode, if they're going to just absolutely stick a fork in them, they're done. Rory McIlroy, you get him to go over as the face. Like, you already had the PGA Tour go and concede that, okay, we're never going to be able to go up against Piff the Magic Dragon. And they ended up folding, and then they created this framework agreement that still isn't done and has fallen apart for the most part. But then you got the guy who was the face. Remember when Justin Thomas was also kind of the face of the entire argument? And then it just became Rory. Like, JT bowed out. He had smart enough people around him where they're like, dude, this is not worth it. You need to bow out. And then Rory got stuck just being that guy. And Rory got sassy. Rory was saying shit even up until like a month ago. He was saying shit about the LIV Golf guys and everything and taking shots and digs and everything. And now for this 180, like, you got to strike while the iron's hot here, Greg Norman. You got to offer him a bill. Give him $1 billion. Piff doesn't fucking care.
I was going to say that a couple of minutes ago.
Like,
$1 billion.
Yeah, Rory's not passing up $1 billion. Not when he's become jaded against the PGA Tour. Can't stand Patrick Cantlay in the process because, you know, Rory was trying to do it for the people, and then he's being called a socialist. You know, it's like, no, like, Rory bowed out, man. And Rory, like, get him now. And it's done. It's done. Yep. Mark my words. LIV Golf. If you get Rory McIlroy right now, it is over. PGA Tour, done. As far as like everybody all of a sudden would just be like, all right, LIV Golf wins.
Prestige worldwide.
What do we got to do? Prestige worldwide.
Done.
Shaun, boy, it was great having you on the podcast and having you be a part of the 100th episode of the Pull Hook Golf podcast. This is going down in history because we had everything on this episode that just screams
for the technical issues.
That it is a Pull Hook Golf podcast. When you were gone, by the way,
I need a supercharger.
We needed a supercharge, big time for that laptop. I mean, geez. It wouldn't be a Pull Hook Golf podcast without some technical difficulties, because this goes back to Mikey Perez in the beginning, who was awful with technology. Rest in peace, Mikey. I've said that multiple times, but it is so funny to me that he was terrible with technology, then Bobby was terrible with technology, and then we run into this on the 100th episode where you're the cord, the long card just fell out of the socket and it wasn't charging. Laptop dies. You got to come back without your virtual background and jump in.
I came back twice. I'll always come back.
Oh, Shawnee, man, I hope you have a good rest of your night, and thanks again for being on, folks. Once again, a shout out to our sponsors, Swannies Golf. Go to swannies.co. Pull Hook Golf 25 is the promo code, and I hope everybody enjoys the Sony Open this week. See you, everybody. And I hope everybody Open